Jack here, owner of Hockey Alley, bringing you back hockey history. Today I got NHL player Derek Armstrong from the Los Angeles Kings. How are you, Derek?
Good. How about yourself, Jack? Thanks for having me.
Good, thank you. It's been a while since I've seen you, probably about a few years before.
Yeah. I probably gained 10 more pounds and probably got a few more wrinkles, but that's part of getting older. So
We're all getting older, yeah, for sure.
Gotta embrace it.
Yeah, I talked to you on the bench while we were playing. You're very interesting stories about the game and everything. I want to start out with when you started playing. How old were you?
Yeah, I started when I was just a young kid, 4 years old. You know, my dad was military. My mom was just a hard-working lady. They just put me in hockey to burn energy. They had, like I said, they had no clue that I'd ever play professional hockey. They didn't put me in to play professional hockey. They didn't even put me in to play junior. They just I had lots of energy as a kid. So mom and dad put me in hockey, and it was a sport that burned a lot of energy. So that's how I got started in hockey.
That's
for no other reason but not to drive mom and dad nuts.
That's awesome. You played 17 years. That's a great career.
Yeah. Obviously, very fortunate to play that long a time, and like I said, it's one of these things that was never a job to me. I was very fortunate to play. I still play 3 days a week. Everyone ends up in beer league eventually. I'm in beer league now, but it's I get to live out all my dreams. I got to play with some amazing people. I enjoyed this sport so much. I still work in the sport. Yeah. I still try to go hockey all over the world, and people like you obviously didn't get to play at the level I did, but we all have great passion for the sport, and anytime I get back to the game, I try to for sure.
Yes, absolutely. When you were growing up in Canada, who was your idol growing up that you wanted to be like as a player? And
well, I didn't really want to be like anyone, to be myself, but I always loved, obviously, Wayne Gretzky. Everyone loved Wayne Gretzky in the '80s, and it was cool because I got to meet him when I was 9 years old, and then I got to play with him with the Rangers. So I got those pictures in my basement of me when I played with him. He signed the picture of me when I was 9, and then he signed a picture of when I faced off against him when I played for the Islanders. So really cool to meet him. But like I said, obviously, mom and dad. It's I just fell in love with the sport at an early age. I was a very shy kid. I like to be around mom and dad. I was a homebody, but for some reason, when I hit that ice, I just turned into a competitive son of a gun. So it brought the best out with me and taught me a lot about life lessons, and it helped me with my growth as a human being.
Yeah, it's we all have that passion for the game. And where'd you move out of? A lot of kids move from home to play juniors. Where'd you play juniors? Was it near home or was it far away?
Yeah, I got to play Sudbury. Well, I first got to play in Hawkesbury, which was tier 2 when I was 16, 17. But I got to live at home, so I had to drive an hour, 4 days a week up to Hawkesbury. Bob Hartley was my coach, who helped me out a lot. He obviously coached in the NHL and won a Stanley Cup with the Avalanche, but he was my first real professional coach. Before that, your dad's or your uncle's coach. So you didn't really get any. They just went out there and had a few drills, and you worked as hard as you could. So Bob Hartley coached me. Then I went to Sudbury in the OHL at 18, 19 and lived up there. But that's where I came out of my shell. Like I said, I was always a shy kid, and then it was about 5 hours from home. So mom and dad could come up on once a week, once a month to come watch me. So it was always good. But you did a lot of growing in junior. Just like going to college, you can learn how to cook your own food, do your own clothes, and probably the hardest part about that is you're a little bit of a celebrity, so that doesn't come with a book. You're in a small town, and you're just a teenage kid, and you got to act different than all the other teenage kids because people are watching you. So that's probably the hardest thing about moving away from home is you're under a little bit more of a spotlight.
Yeah, it's a life lesson for sure. And you played with the Islanders in the beginning. What was it like to have Mike Milbury as your coach?
I got plenty of stories about Mike. He was definitely a hard-nosed guy. He gave me the opportunity and took opportunities away, but you definitely, he was an old school coach. He was always on you a little bit, and he's one of those guys that, like I said, it was part of my journey. You take good things from him, you take bad things from him, just like any other coach. He was a stepping stone, but he obviously, the Islanders did give him my first opportunity, so Mike was definitely involved with that. So I appreciate the Islanders for giving me that. But he was a guy just like he played. He was full of fire, and he was full of passion, and he taught you a lot about being a professional hockey player.
Yeah, and the practices were intense, I bet.
Oh Well, I think that's the biggest step from anything in junior and even the minors to NHL is the practices. We all know how to play games, but to show up every day and be on every single day, I think that's the one thing you did get from Mike is he expected really good stuff from me every single day. So in junior or even in the AHL, you can kind of go through the motions a little bit because you're tired in that. But in NHL, you gotta be on every single day. There's someone always trying to take your job, and there's someone always watching you. So with Mike, definitely learned a lot about the practices and how to be prepared. And one good story about New York, I remember playing from junior and then going to the AHL, and then in Islanders, I remember we played Colorado, and Joe Sakic, had a really good game, and I played about 4 or 5 minutes, and I was exhausted. I probably played 6 minutes that night. I was a fourth liner, and so I remember sitting in my stall, and I was completely exhausted after playing 6 minutes in the NHL. That's how hard it is to play. Joe Sakic just won first star. He walked through our dressing room, went to the weight room for an hour after the game, and I'm like, oh my God. Wow. I played 6 minutes, I'm exhausted, and Joe's one of the best players in the world, and he's lifting weights after playing that game. So I was like, yeah, I got a long ways to go as a professional for sure.
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing. So he wasn't tired, nothing, just came in and. Yeah.
But that's when you get to that level, that's what you understand. We're all like that, and obviously when I played 500 games, 450 games after that, I would start biking after games and doing my workouts after games because it's what we're the elite of the elite. Those are the things you got to learn, and those are the things you don't understand until you meet the best players in the world or be around the best players in the world. It is a livelihood for them, and it is a lifestyle for them, and that's a period.
Yeah. Did he ever throw anything? Because I was talking to Steve Hines, and he told me that he threw Joe Juno into the mix. Like, he didn't have anything to throw, and one guy messed up the drill, and he took Joe Juno and actually threw him. Did Mike ever do anything like that, where he threw something?
Oh, there's lots of stories about Mike. I'll just keep them to myself. But like I said, I'm not here to throw anyone under the bus. Mike was great to me. Like I said, he gave me opportunities. He's a very passionate man. I think he always liked me, but I was a young guy there and really quiet and just soaked it all in. So Mike, like I said, he gave me my first opportunity. So I'll leave it at that.
Yeah. Did you? The biggest difference in the game in the last 20 years would be the checking. So it's been less checking. Have you seen a difference in that?
Yeah, I think. Obviously, I think the clutch and grab. There's still some hitting, but when we were playing hockey, we got taught to back check. We put our stick right in someone's chest and water ski back. You're not allowed to touch anybody. They want more goals, obviously, because it's if you don't. Back 20 years ago, if you didn't know anything about hockey, it was really tough to watch it on TV because it's clutch and grab and like lots of scrums, and they couldn't find the puck. So the skating has gotten much better. Everyone can skate now. Everyone takes their training. You go to training camp back at my age. No one really worked out in the summer. My first couple of years, and training camp was to get in shape. Now it's a full-time job. Everyone has nutritionists now and personal trainers. I used to work out by myself with a weight vest and go run Red Rock stairs or amphitheater stairs. So I think the training and the nutrition has come a long way, but that's also part of the reason why kids are retiring 28 and 30 years old instead of playing until 40 years old now. It's because they're professional hockey players at 12, 13 years old, So I never really lifted a weight till I was 20 years old. That's why I could play until 37. I never got burnt out. And a lot of these kids now, by 28, 30 years old, they've had enough of playing because they've been going at it since they're 13, 14 years old. So I think that's the biggest difference in all is the conditioning of the athletes, the way they treat their bodies, the way they have mental coaches now, and the pace of the game is so much faster. So it's definitely a different game than I played 20 years ago for sure.
Yes, I agree with you on that, definitely. What do you? I want to ask you about hockey sticks. So when we were playing in the game at Staples together, it was a charity game, I believe, a few years ago, and you were using a stick similar to my curve. It was a Warrior too. What pattern was that? Did you make that pattern?
Oh, I think you're using a stick similar to my curve. Let's get it straight here.
Yes.
Yeah, I've had my own curve. Yeah, I've had my own custom curve since I was, 21 years old. So you're probably using my curve. Let's get it straight. But mine started. I love sticks. I've always loved gear. I started my stick from the 30-20 Titan 30,
Wow.
20, 20, the Mario Lemieux, the white and red one. When I was a kid, my dad got me one. I had the heel curve on. So
Uh-huh.
in junior, always used that tighten and heel curve. But when I got to pro, I got to make. I was more of a shooter in junior than when I got to pro. I became more of a passer. So I played with a lot of really good goal scorers: Brad Smith, Luke Robitaille, Mike Camilleri. So I always had a really good shooter on my side. So I didn't get to take a lot of shots because once you give them the puck, you don't get the puck back. That's why they're natural goal scorers. So I had to score a lot of rebounds. So it's a heel curve, a total heel curve, the Mario Lemieux. I think 50-20 or 30-20, one of the Titan one, I think maybe 50-20.
Yes.
And then I opened the toe up, so when I obviously I had to score off a lot of rebounds because those guys would never give me the puck back once I got to them. So I opened up the toe, so it looks kind of like a spatula, so I can score goals and make passes and make you pancakes in the morning and breakfast. So it's I can flip some sausages. So it's got a good curve. But I've always loved gear and loved sticks, and I think that's the biggest thing about now is the technology has come so far in that stuff. You know, we used to have to use a blowtorch and torch the sticks and make your own curve, and now it just comes the way you want it.
Yeah. What companies did you use over the years? So you said you used Titan as a kid.
I used Titan. I used to use Daewoo skates, Daewoo
Oh yeah.
501 skates. I love those with the big tongue. That's the start of the big tongue.
Yeah.
And then through my career, my buddy was a rep for Mission, so I used Mission a lot, and I used everything. CCM, Bauer. I remember my first year in the NHL, I got called up, and then I ended up staying from when I was 20 in '96. I got called up, and Bauer offered me a deal. And all they did was give me a coat with Bauer coat, a Bauer coat with those the sleeves. So it was like a leather coat with sleeves, and it had a Bauer on it. I thought I was the king of the world because no one got that. So I didn't get any money, but I got a free coat, so I used their stuff all year. So it was pretty cool.
That's cool.
I remember walking around New York City and Long Island like I was the king of the world with a fresh new coat from Bauer.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
How many sticks did you go through in a year?
Obviously when you get younger, but when we were first playing my first year, couple of years, it was wood sticks, and then I went to the 2-piece. So I went through a lot of blades the first year. So when I got to Hartford, when I started scoring a lot in the minors, I was on a 2-piece, so I'd use a shaft. But I like the stick of game, so I usually use a stick of game once I get older and a little more credibility. When you're younger, you just take what they give you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as far as like say a rookie coming up compared to a superstar player on the team, is there a limit of sticks they can have per season, or is it unlimited for everybody? Is there?
Yeah, I think everyone gets treated pretty much the same now. Obviously, the superstars are the superstars, so they can get whatever they want. But I think maybe in the younger years, it was more like rookies didn't get as much as the other guys. But I think nowadays it's such a big business and everyone's making such good money that I think everyone's gonna kind of on equal play when it comes to gear. You get what you need to get what you need to produce. It's such a big money business now. So the fourth liners are, they're just as important as the superstars. Obviously, the superstars are much more talented, but that's one thing about hockey is it's the ultimate team sport. You need the fourth liners and the eighth defenseman as much as you need the superstars. So to build a team, you need all types of players. So I think this day and age, I think everyone kind of gets the same amount of gear.
That's good. That's good to know. I didn't know that. I wasn't sure if they had a limit for the guys coming up and down two-way players.
Of course, the top guys can get whatever they want. As they should. They're the best in the world at it.
And my channel's all about hockey history and equipment and all that. I do a lot of stick videos. Is there any piece of equipment that you thought was cool growing up over the years with anything?
Yeah, I love a lot of gear. Like I said, my one son plays in Regina in the Western Hockey League. He loves gear. My other son just finished playing hockey, played in Salt Lake. But my favorite stick I ever had was called an Artist. I don't remember what it was out of Europe. It was an Artist stick. So it was a wood blade in the middle, and then on the outside was like a ball hockey stick, fiberglass. So it would last me the full year. If you ever find a stick called the Artist, it was awesome. My dad found me one in Europe, and then when I was in Pee Wee, my dad was always let me kind of be what I want. Like I said, I was a shy kid, but when I got on the ice, for some reason, I just loved to compete. And then when I was 13 years old, I had the Wayne Gretzky blades. He had those blue blades. So my dad found me a blue and a red one. So I wore a blue and a red blade when I was 13 years old. That matched my team, South Ottawa. So I always had really good, cool gear. And then the first stick I ever got, my mom and dad brought me to the dump we went to the dump. We found a blade, a shaft, and my dad nailed
Oh,
it together, and that was my first stick. So,
wow.
and I never got a new pair of skates until we always got secondhand skates until I was 13 or 14. So, like I said, and I remember my first year pro when I got a signing bonus for $50,000. I remember signing in Salt Lake. Zygmunt Pelfy was my line mate. They gave me a check for $25,000, and then they
Wow.
gave me a dozen sticks with my name on it. And I don't even remember where the check went for like 3 weeks. 2 weeks. I was so excited that I got my own name on my stick. They were the black Bauer ones. They're unbelievable.
Oh, wow.
And then I slept with those sticks because back in those days you only got your name on your stick unless you're professional, you know. So
Yeah.
I had my own name, my own curve, and I was like,
Wow.
my mom and dad were like, "Where's that check for $25,000?" I'm like, I have no clue. I got my own sticks. I sleep my own sticks in my bed. So yeah, it was really cool. So some cool stuff.
That's awesome. Great stories. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, it's great memories. I want to ask you, who was the toughest guy that you had to be on the face-off against, that you faced off against?
Yeah, I mean, everyone in the NHL is pretty good. You know, it's Stefan Yell was really good in the NHL. I mean, like I said, it's anyone at that level is really good to play against. I struggled with Eisman a little bit. You know, some of the big guys. Nieuwendyk was very good at it. It just, you know, everyone at that level is pretty good at face-off. So it's, you know, playing in the NHL, everyone thinks it's easy for some of those top guys, but for me, I mean, it was a battle every single day. You know,
Yeah.
I wasn't made to play there. I willed myself to the NHL. Now that I'm older, I can accept that. When I wasn't, obviously, when I was younger, I didn't think it. But those guys are, I mean, they're the best athletes in the world, and to be even say that I even played against half those guys. You know, Eric Lindros, I grew up against
Oh,
since 16 years old. He was a monster in the face-off circle. So there's a lot of guys that are really good at it, and obviously there's a lot of tricks to it, and there's a lot of technique to it. It's like guys who play golf, you know, they're 150 pounds, they can pound the ball 350 yards. You know, there's a lot of technique, and you know, a lot of people practice at it. So it was always a war in there, and like I said, just to be mentioned in playing the NHL against those guys is pretty cool.
it's awesome. Did you ever face Mario Lemieux in the face-off?
Yeah, I faced Mario was such a unique talent, you know. Like he could get the puck back without winning the faceoffs, you know. Like when I remember played against some Islanders, it was him, Gagger, and I think it was Stevens with him. But he was good at it, but he didn't really have to. You know, he didn't have to be a high percentage because he always get the puck back. Whereas someone like me, if I lost a faceoff, I might not touch the puck the rest of the shift. You know what I mean? So he didn't have to quite focus as hard as I did on faceoffs. You know, I took faceoffs. Like if I didn't win that faceoff, I wouldn't touch the puck. So Mario wasn't. You know, obviously, I remember playing against him. You wouldn't even know he's out there, and you'd get 4 or 5 points. He was just so much smarter than everybody else. Just like Gretzky, they're the best in the world, and the best players for a reason.
Yeah.
Smarter than everybody else.
Yeah, that's what made him great, of course. What about a person in the league that everybody liked and respected in the whole league? Out of like, it's probably a tough question, but that you saw that was most respected.
Yeah, I think. I mean, obviously, I was more of a role player, you know. So I hung out more. Like, you know, I loved Ian LaPerriere. He's one of my really good buddies. He's a guy that showed up to work every single day. He competed. He you know, he got a lot of his talent as well. He came out of junior as a massive scorer, and then he learned how to be a fighter and block shots and be a great teammate and produce. And need to produce. I love a guy like Ian Pierre. When I was Islanders, you know, Derek King really helped me a lot. Pat Flatley helped me a lot. These guys are, you know, names, but I think Derek King was coach of Chicago. But when you're younger, you gotta, you know, you're very thankful that you have people like, you know, Derek King, Mick Fakota, Rich Pilon. You know, they teach you a lot about being a professional. When there's no book on, you know, your mom and dad. My mom worked at a school for special needs kids. My dad was military. They can't teach you how to, you know, be in a spotlight or how to act around certain people. Or my dad never wore a suit to work. You know, I had to wear a suit every day to work. So there's a lot of people throughout my career that really helped me and teach you how to be a professional. And then when I played, I got to help out Kopitar and Dowdy and Brownie and those guys as well. You know, and now they're helping out all these young guys as well. It's people don't understand. don't show up and play hockey. Like you're on the road. You gotta order room service. You gotta know how to, take care of yourself. You gotta know who to talk to and who wants stuff from you. There's a lot more to being a professional athlete than just playing. There's a lot of people with a talent that are much more talented than me, but to do it every single day, that's what probably the hardest part is, and that's why you need people around like Ian LaPerriere, Derek King, and Pat Flatley, and Rob Blake, and Luke Robitaille. These guys, Adam Graves, another guy in New York who helped me a lot. Just these guys are they're the ultimate professionals, and they teach you how to act and how to be, and even what to put in your body is important.
Yes. It's great. They're great people, and those are mentors, and they pass on it to the next generation. It's awesome. What about toughest defenseman that you had to go around or play against?
I think they all worked me.
Not anything abundant. Yeah.
And obviously, you're getting them all. Adam Foote, but Nick Lindstrom was probably Chris Chelios. Nick Lindstrom was probably the hardest because he wasn't really physical, but he was never in the wrong position. That's why I think he was so good. I remember when I was the third or fourth line, he had to dump the puck when he get to the red line. I remember getting the red line and taking a slap shot and dumping it in, and he just knocked it right out of the air and went down and turned it over and went back and scored on it. And I got screamed at, like, "What do you mean get the puck deep?" I'm like, I shot that puck as hard as I could, and Nick Lindstrom just knocked it out of the air and put up the boards. They went in 2-1 and scored. So I think he was one of the toughest defenders. And I didn't mind. I don't mind the physical game. I don't want to fight, but I can handle physical guys. But he was always in such great position, and he always knew what you were doing before you got the puck, and I think that was what made him so special.
Yeah, in today's hockey, I see a lot of guys with their heads down. Back in the day, was there certain guys that you had to watch out more for than others? Some guys you could be more cautious because you knew they were going to come and just hit you. Was there any certain guys like that?
Well, of course, you always got to know who you're on the ice against. That's part of being professional. Just like if you watch baseball, they know which pitchers pitch, and if you watch basketball, they know who's guarding them, and that's part of being a professional. You got to know who you're on the ice against, and your matchups, and when your line change, you got to look over who's going out. There's always a lot of guys, but the game's so different now is because when we played, we had to protect ourselves. Like if we put ourselves in a vulnerable position, that was our own fault. The guy with the puck carrier. Now like everything else, the world protects everybody, right? So the league protects the players, but that's also how they grew up playing. So you can't knock it. And part of the reason they skate with their heads down now because all these kids are going around cones and all these things, and they don't play games. It's all skill work where they go around a cone or they go around apparatuses and they lose the puck, they grab another one so they can have their head down there, and the hitting starts later on at an age group. So we start hitting at 8 years old, so you learn at a young age that if you have your head down, you're gonna hit. Now they're hitting at 12 or 13 years old, where there's guys 6'2" and guys 4 or 5 feet. So a lot of the kids that start hitting don't want to play hockey anymore. So it's definitely a big difference and a big change, but. The game's much faster, and the game's very exciting, and I think the game's at a good place. But back to getting hit. I mean, there's every team back in my day had 2 or 3 guys that could hit like madmen, and you obviously had to know your matchups who you're on the ice with. You have to look over and look at the score sheet to see who was like. You do your prep work just like any other job.
Yeah, my opinion on hockey overall is I think they should start hitting at 6 years old, where they're skating in the same direction and with a stick on the ice, just to start them out that way. And
they're all the same size, and they're all they're all starting out. That's the problem. That's why there's probably way more concussions now than there was back in the day because there's not as much respect now. They don't learn how to hit properly because at 14 and 15, how can a guy 6'2" and a guy 5 feet learn how to hit at the same speed? It doesn't work out that way. But like I said, I love this game of hockey. I'm not here to rip the game of hockey. It's obviously different. You have to change with times, and the times have changed. So you got to learn to adjust, and most people have learned to adjust.
Yeah, I'm still with the one to go back and have them younger hitting. I think it'd be a lot safer that's how I learned how to play, is hitting in the beginning. I never played non-check hockey, so that's how you learn to keep your head up and I know it's changed, but
I
yeah.
don't disagree with you, but
Yeah.
I don't think it's ever going. I don't think it's
No.
ever going back that way. So
No.
there's no reason I'm dwelling on it. But
No.
you're 100% right. That's how we grew up. And
Yeah.
like I said, it's like, especially with people your own size, is the most important thing. I want to watch a Pee Wee tournament or whatever. I think it was I think that 14 they start hitting now. And
Yeah.
the size difference is so much different. And the kids who are 6'2", they don't know how to hit either. So they're trying to learn how to hit, and then they run over some little guys, and they don't mean to. They don't know how to angle. They don't know how to position. They don't know how to hit. So that age group, there's a lot of kids that also will drop out of hockey because that's not what they signed up for the first 7 years of their career.
Yes. I want to ask you, if you were a general manager and you had to pick a player from any era to start a franchise, who would you pick?
I mean, it's so tough to do that because the game's so different. Mm-hmm. Obviously, you want a goalie or you want a centerman. I mean, mm-hmm. Bobby Orr's obviously in there. Wayne Gretzky, Mario Lemieux. I mean, let's just start with this generation now. I mean, I think that Cale Makar would be the guy you would start with. He's proven he can win, which is important. He's proven he can skate the best. He's highly conditioned. He moves the puck. I mean, either him, McDavid. He's a McDavid on defense, and obviously I live in Colorado. Just watching him on a nightly basis, it's hard to pick. And I mean, you want some. He seems like he's got some leadership skills as well. So there's a lot of people that. It's hard to just pick one player. I mean, obviously Bobby Orr was, he's the same as Bobby Orr, and then obviously Wayne Gretzky was the best ever play, and Mario. But those guys everyone needs people around them. So no matter which one player you pick, it's not like basketball where one player can go out and win games for you. It's a team sport. So if you want me to pick one player, I'm going to have to pick 20 players to go around with him and fit in. You know what I mean? So one player can't go out and win a game. That's why it's such a tough question. But that's why we love this sport so much. No matter how good you are, no matter how much better than you are, you need 18 other guys to be there by your side to win. And that's why the Stanley Cup is the ultimate trophy. You have to sacrifice your body. You have to sacrifice your body, your mind, your soul, and you have to sacrifice your ego to get along with other teammates in the dressing room to win the Stanley Cup. That's why it's so cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. If you're a coach right now and say the team's not playing good, what's your go-to punishment drill?
I was coaching GM of a pro team, so we did lose in the finals. Yeah. I think part of the go-to punishment drill is take their cell phones away. You guys aren't allowed to have cell phones in the dressing room if you guys aren't playing well. I think that would probably get to them more than anything than skating on the ice. But it does. I mean, there's lots of drills I had, and especially this generation. It's much more fine line. You can't scream and yell all day at this generation, which is okay. My generation could, and it's raised so different. So I honestly think if you say no cell phones in the dressing room, that's probably the biggest punishment they could get.
Finally, if you were commissioner of the NHL, what rules would you add or change?
I mean, there's obviously there's a lot of things that I like about the NHL right now. I would still like there to be an enforcer in the game on each team.
Yes.
I wish they didn't have to fight each other like they did all the time, but I still wish the NHL could still police itself a little bit more than it does. And I think a lot of these things wouldn't occur if you knew that there was a Marty McSorley or a Ty Domi or Bob Probert around there. I don't want them fighting and going through the life that they did, because the anxiety of having to fight another heavyweight every night. I think there should be some more rules about that. Like if you can't fight the heavyweight every single night. I don't know what the rules is, but I wish they would carry another person around like that could help police the sport, because those guys are ultimately the best teammates you ever had in your life. They're the kindest human beings you ever had. But I think that's what made the game so great is we policed our own sport, which is incredible. And to add, I mean, I obviously like the scoring in hockey, and I think Gary's done a good job of. Mm-hmm. I think I would like to see, maybe some teams in Europe. I think I would like to see some I played in Switzerland for 1 year, and I think there's a real passion for hockey. I would really love to see a European division with 4 or 5 teams over in Europe, and then they cross over. I don't know how they do it, but I think hockey's got to become global, because it's like I said, I played in Switzerland. There's fantastic fans over there, and they really do love the game as much as I. So if I could change something, I would really love them to try to find a way to implement a European division.
Like a KHL versus NHL, and then they go for the finals, or would
Not
you
even
not
that.
like
Like you just put teams in Europe, and there's a 6 team. There's a 6 team. Everyone they play each other 12 times over there, or 4 or 5 times each, and then they make a swing for a month over here, and each team gets over there once, and then just like it's like they're in the league. It just there's a European division with NHL players as well. I think
that would be awesome.
It'd be great for hockey, and there's some really good cities over there that could get. I think we'd get more sponsorship and raise more revenue, because where I struggle the most is, obviously I'm biased about hockey, but the top players in McDavid is just as exciting as Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is very exciting to watch, and so is McDavid, but Patrick Mahomes is making $45 million, and McDavid's only making 12.5. So I think if you went to Europe, you could find a way to raise some more revenue. But like I said, it's not my thing, and I think the game's in a good place. But I just wish we could find a way to watch our stars, because they're just as exciting as other stars in other sports. So we just got to find a way to get more money, and I think there's a lot of sponsorships over in Europe that will, once you get over there, I think could raise the revenue.
Yeah, I like that idea a lot. That's a great idea. Maybe you pitch it to them. To the
that's not my job. I'm just thankful I get to still be involved in hockey, and like I said, what I'm doing now is the LA Kings. I do TV with the LA Kings, and Luke and Rob and the organization, Mr. Anschutz, have let me grow hockey over the world. So I've been in China, Beijing, Mexico City. I do camps all over the summer. So I really get to give back, and I really appreciate that I'm still involved in hockey, and I still get to preach my passion all over the world. It's been a really exciting job for the last 4 or 5 years, and I get to meet you, skate with you guys. So I work with all levels, adults, pros, and kids that are 5 years old. So it's really cool that I get to help grow the game, because I really do love this game.
You're doing great. I want to thank you, Derek, so much for coming on and talking to me and talking hockey history. It's awesome.
You got it. I appreciate being on the show. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.